Hi. Hey, get in here, you. I'm Erin. For those I have never met before, I'm Erin Power, and I'm a nutritionist and a health coach, and I specialize in women's weight loss in midlife, which is a different way of tackling weight loss for 1 million reasons that I'm going to try not to bore you with because I could talk about that for 90 minutes. What I want to zero in on today is an aspect of my practice that I feel really passionately about, which is that we don't need to track our food to lose weight. I know. Can you believe it? Okay, so you can type in the chat. So why don't you do that? Why don't you do that? Put in the chat the emoji that describes your current relationship with food and dieting. Give me your best emoji that describes your current relationship with food and dieting. I love this. This is great. This is already so great. Oh, the emojis. They're so sad and angry and barfing and crying and confused and overwhelmed. And the finger. Oh my God, this is the best. I'm so glad I asked that question. That was fun. Keep doing it. Let's communicate in emojis. Why don't we? Anyhow, I do feel really strongly that you and me, all of us can lose weight sustainably, maintain weight loss for the rest of our lives without ever tracking our food again. And I hope you're excited by that. You know what? I know you are because you're here, but also I suspect, and I want you to, corroborate this for me in the chat. I suspect that you don't believe me. Tell me, you believe me or you don't believe me? Do you believe me or do you not? Put believe or don't believe in the chat. Okay, look at you. Believe, 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 believe. Believe with skepticism. Skeptical. I want to believe. I do believe you. I don't know if I can achieve it. I'm curious about the thought process. Sweet. Lauren, amazing. Heather, I'm loving this. Oh my gosh, you guys, you believe. This is a great place to start. So I'm loving this. Here's what I want to accomplish. I definitely want to do a little bit of teaching about how weight loss, I'm going to use the phrases weight loss and fat loss very interchangeably here. And I actually want to start by defining that for you quickly. I want to tell you how it works, why tracking your food was never necessary for it. I'm going to give you some examples of how it's pointless. And I want to actually show you how you can lose fat in the absence of food tracking forever and ever again. According to the emojis, you don't want to do it anymore. Well, I don't know. I shouldn't make that assumption. I do make the assumption that you don't want to do it anymore. I don't know that you ever wanted to do it. And I don't know about you all, but I'm a Gen X woman. I've been dieting for my whole life. I was born into a thin, skinny culture and told to do whatever it takes to be skinny, 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 right? We did it. We invented it, for crying out loud. Like somebody telling us to track our food. It's like, I used to carry a calorie counting book in my purse, Braden. I know how to track calories, right? So the thing is, it's one way of getting there. It's definitely one way of getting there. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not here to say that it's wrong, but it sucks and you hate it and you haven't been successful at it. So what are we going to do? Are we going to keep beating our head against that brick wall? Why would we do that? That's the absolute definition of insanity, right? So first thing I want to establish, and I do have a slide show of sorts for you later. It's going to be more interactive than just looking at slides. You're going to get to watch me scribble on my iPad, which is always a joy to watch my handwriting in real time. But I do want to just jot some things down for you so you have some takeaways. For this free workshop, I want to keep it really focused on this one thing. So I'm going to try to hold myself to just keeping it focused so that it's simple, feels gettable for you. I mean, some of the emojis I saw, like the shrug emoji, the swirly eye emoji, you're already confused and overwhelmed. You don't need more confusion and overwhelm. So I don't want to do that. Okay. I don't want to confuse and overwhelm you. I want to keep this in a very underwhelming place. So we're going to keep it so gentle. All right, my friends, the first thing I want to establish, we have to establish our vernacular. You want to lose fat, not weight. Do you know that? You know that. Maybe you've followed some of the stuff I've said before. You've heard me say this a million times. You want to lose fat, not weight. What do I mean by this? Weight is something that's measured on the scale. The bathroom scale tells you a vague picture of your gravitational force, which includes all of the aspects of your body, including your fat and your muscle and your organs and your bones and the water and the stuff in your colon and the clothes you're wearing. And I don't know, maybe your hair's dirty, you haven't washed it in a few days. I don't know. It's literally just a random gravitational force. I'm not a fan of it, but it's not even what you want. You want to be smaller. You want to feel leaner. You want to fit into your clothes better. You want to be a smaller size. You don't want to size up anymore. You would like to size down. This is all the language of body composition, fat loss, not weight loss. Now, I don't know you all, but my hunch is that you're probably my age or getting there. Maybe you're in your mid to late 30s. Maybe you're in your mid to late 60s or anywhere in between, right? I'm in my late 40s. I'm basically 50. I like to round up. I don't know why. It's just what I do. But we cannot afford to get lighter. This really does fly in the face of our training those of us that came up in the 90s and 2000s where it was like skinny, 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 like we're trying to get that number on the scale light as possible. We can't do that anymore. We cannot afford to do that anymore. I love it. You're putting your ages in. Amazing. Pam's 39, Deborah's 71, and everything in between, right? Yes. I really feel this is a personal crusade. There's just no way, women, gals, that we can afford to get lighter, because if we do whatever it takes to get lighter on the scale, now we're partaking into what's called catabolic nonsense, which is burning your body away. Burning away maybe fat, maybe muscle, maybe bone. You don't know. If we get lighter on the scale, especially as we get past our 30th birthday, which according to the math here in the chat, everybody's past their 30th birthday. Andrea is not rounding up. She's 49.9. She refuses to round up. I love that. We're all past our 30th birthday, which from your 30th birthday onward, you lose muscle and bone quite precipitously. It goes faster after menopause, during menopause than after. That's not good. Think about the frail old ladies That's not how we want to be aging. And I know that's not sexy. I know you want to look great in your swimsuit. You want to feel comfortable in your skin and confident in your clothes. Now, you're like, I want to look good now. I want you to look good now. I do. I want you to feel great now. And also later, I would like this fat loss to persist. But I also want to do it while sparing the muscle and bone on your body. That's actually really important to me. I hope it's important to you. Is that important to you to just like get rid of the fat, make sure the bone and the muscle don't go anywhere? Is that important to you? I hope that's important to you. Hugely important, Pam. Yes, 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 yes. You've been hearing the narrative about eating protein and lifting weights and all the stuff. So you know it. You know it. I'm not going to bore you with that. You guys, you've heard that 1,000 times today when you open your phone. You get it. I love that. I love to see that. So we agree that you don't want to lose weight, but you would like to lose fat. So the fat, there's different kinds of fat, right? We have the subcutaneous, I always pinch this part, a little armpit blubber, right? Or maybe your arms, the pinchy stuff there, pinchy stuff that hangs over your belt. That's subcutaneous fat. It's pinchable. It's right under your skin. We have visceral fat, which is inside the body, kind of around the organs. And I know visceral fat sounds scary. It has the potential to become very problematic if it's left unchecked, but you're probably fine. Like, I don't want you to stress about it. Visceral fat's not supposed to be inside our body cavity. It's a bit of a metabolic dysregulation that it went in there. We can fix that. It all comes down to fat loss, though. Whether it's visceral or subcutaneous fat, it all responds the same way. So I think this is important for you to know, especially if you happen to be subscribing to some of the menopause narrative, which is talking a lot about visceral fat. Because in that narrative, it's like visceral fat's different. Now that you're in menopause, it's different. It's not metabolically different. It isn't. Metabolically, you're not different. I'm going to talk about this at a high level. Metabolism is my most favorite thing to talk about. It's this amazing system of the body. We're going to dance around it a little bit. It's just a little too complex to cover, but I want you to understand it to a high level. So do we agree? You want to lose fat, not weight. Tell me where on your body you don't like the fat. And you can be specific. Put it in the chat. Is it a thickening of your waist? Are you feeling chunky in your trunk? Is it like upper arms? Is it armpit blubber? Is it muffin top? Is it love handle? Like, whatever word you use. Here we go. What things aren't fitting anymore? Jackets, pants. Tell me more about, like, have you sized up? I actually want to get a sense of that, because that sort of sizing up of the wardrobe is an interesting and a kind of a major bummer. I want to just validate, major bummer when you have to size up. I don't want you to have to size up your clothes anymore. We got to stop the sizing up and get you to stop that and then start to size down. This is something about fat loss that I think nobody's talking about, which is if you're putting extra fat on, like call it 3 pounds a year. We don't really care about pounds, but maybe it's a pant size every 2 or 3 years. You're climbing, and that's not going to resolve itself. You have to actually do something different to get that to stop climbing and then reverse. So I do like to think about this big picture. Let's see where you got it. Oh yeah. Look at you all. I love the honesty. So we've got belly and ass, a stomach, belly, trunk, thighs for days, stomach and thighs, waist size, belly and back, sudden belly, lots of bellies, waist and arms. So waist, trunk, belly, pooch, chonk in the trunk. Elise wants to wear shorts. Maria wants to lose fat everywhere. Nothing fits. Cool. This is great. This is great. I'm sorry to ask this question. I know it's uncomfortable. But we have to do this, right? We have to have these real conversations so we can get to the bottom of it. So it sounds to me like a lot of you have found yourself sizing up your wardrobe. And I do like to think about the wardrobe more than the scale, more than the tape measure, more than a body fat composition test, anything like that. I don't think it's that important. We're just normal people. We're just normal gals who want to just wear the cute clothes that are already in our closet. And here's an anecdote I share all the time. So I apologize if you heard me say this a million times. But when I go on a trip somewhere, do you know that I just open up my suitcase and throw stuff in? I don't have to try it all on because I know it already fits. Can you imagine what that would be like? So 15 years ago, I lost 4 pant sizes and I've kept it off effortlessly without tracking anything, and everything in my closet fits. That's what I want for you. Maybe you love shopping. You want to go and buy cute clothes and like you shopping to be fun again, right? I want shopping to be fun again. But many of you want what you currently have in your closet to fit. So we got to work on that. So let's be realistic. And hey, you all give me your ages. We're various ages from 39 to, 71 and everything in between. We have decades of life ahead of us, and there's no way in hell that you're spending the last decades of your life tracking calories, measuring your food on a food scale. No way. It's not happening. You're not going to do it. So what? What's plan B? Oh, I guess I just get fat. Why would that be plan B? There's got to be another plan B. What did humans do before the food scale was invented, before MyFitnessPal was invented? We did okay. And I know that's kind of goofy to think about, but I always go there. I always think this used to work for us. There's a lot of factors at play. We're way more stressed out. We have way more processed food. We have way more toxic chemicals in the environment. It's not great. It's not great. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But still, like metabolically, we're still pretty badass. And we're just handling this thing, the human body, a little weirdly. And we women have been handling it weirdly for our whole lives. So let's talk about how we can lose fat without tracking any of it. Does that sound fun? It sounds like fun. I think it does. I'm just going through the chat here to see what you're saying. This is amazing. So Marisa says, I'm sizing up even though weight is relatively the same. That's interesting. So if you are weighing yourself, you might not notice the scales going up, but your clothing size is going up. That's a perfect example. Fat is not really very heavy on the scale. So you could be increasing your visceral fat or your subcutaneous fat, and there's no change on the scale. I'm not here to freak you out, but what if your fat mass is going up and your lean body mass is going down? And then it's like, oh, I look the same on the scale. I haven't gained weight, but your body composition is shifting toward fat, shifting away from muscle and bone. Muscle is a really metabolically just robust body tissue. We don't want to be trading in muscle for fat. So this is why I say, this is actually great that you brought this up, Marisa. I'm really grateful for your vulnerability in sharing that, because I worry about women who are weighing themselves and saying, oh, number on the scale is looking good. It's like, we don't know what's happening inside. The pants that are hanging in your closet or the dress or the jacket or the favorite outfit is going to be the real test to see if this is working. But it's not going to work, gang, for quite some time. So I do want to manage some expectations around timing. Okay, that's another great crusade of mine, is how long it takes to lose fat. Okay, so I'm going to start sharing my iPad. You are in so much luck because you get to watch me scribble on my iPad and take you through my little super chill presentation. Okay, my friends, how do we lose fat? Any ideas? Anyone know how we lose fat? I'd be curious if you have any thoughts on this. What do you think you have to do to lose fat? We've already established that we're talking about fat loss, not weight loss, right? So we're jiving on that. What do you think you need to do to lose fat? Calorie deficit, eat clean, build more muscle, exercise, cardio. I used to think exercise. Keep going. What else is out there? Sleep. Hell yeah. Lift weights. Strength training. Man, you guys are on top of it. Reduce carbs. There, I was waiting for that one. Muscle burns more fat. Muscle burns more energy. It doesn't burn more fat per se. I'm going to be like a little specific with the language on that, if you're cool with me being specific on language. Okay, Deborah, great. Cut calories and lots of exercise. I love that honesty. Like, that's what we think, right? Increase protein and build through strength training. Nice, Donna. Calorie deficit, nutrient-dense food. Beautiful, Brandy. Love to hear that. Burn body fat for fuel. Yes. Nice, Tanya. Oh, a combination of a million variables. Ding, ding, ding. That is the correct answer. But these are all great answers. The right fuel, fuel yourself. Beautiful. Weights and lower cortisol. Oh, cortisol made the list. Amazing. This, just so you know, every one of you is right. You're all kind of right, in some level, right? Nikki said, my OB recently told me that at my age, I need fewer carbs. Okay. Well, okay. I don't agree with that, but I'm simply a nutritionist. I don't know. It sounds a little weird to me. It sounds a little, see, to me, I'll just be honest, I'm going to pull the thread of Nikki's comment here. This annoys me on behalf of you all, which is anybody, whether it's your OBGYN or some influencer on the internet, or one of the biggest scourges, I think, in misinformation is a Facebook group. Do you guys belong to any big Facebook groups, like weight loss Facebook group? I belong to a bunch. One of the ones I belong to is a women's group in my city. And the women come in and we just can anonymously ask anything. And there's every single day 10 questions about weight loss. Every single day. Women just want to lose weight. That's what we want. That's what we do. And the amount of just absolute randomness that comes up in the comments from people, it's unbearable. So I'm going to talk to you about how we lose fat. How do we do it? There are three big factors. Somebody said a million variables. I say three. I'm going to keep it simple with three if you guys are cool with that. Factor number one is we have to have safety, abundance. I always use this phrase, robust nourishment. This is actually kind of in the realm of your nervous system, your central nervous system. Did I just lose you? You're like, what? My nervous system? Lady, I thought it was eat less, move more. We have to send these signals of safety, abundance, robust nourishment. These are signals. Like when you send that signal into the body is always picking up signals. I really geek out on this idea, and I think I lose people when I talk about it, but we're not dumb calculators that are just processing a math equation all day long. We're these complex dynamic systems that respond to signal. And the signal of safety, the signal of abundance, the signal of robust nourishment sends a safe signal to your nervous system that you're fine, that you're fully fine. You're so protected. You're so safe. The deal is, your body fat, the stuff that you hate, your body loves it. Your body doesn't really want to let go of it. Once you've put it on, your body's like, we're going to need this when times get tough, right? Think about it, because we're ancient beings. We used to have to work a lot harder at survival than we do now. That's how our DNA is programmed. And depending on what your beliefs are, we are either a few thousand years old or a few million years old. I welcome you to believe anywhere in that spectrum. But we're old and we used to have to survive. And now we don't really have to work that hard at survival anymore, but our DNA still thinks we do. So once the fat comes on, it doesn't really want to get rid of it just in case times get weird. Now think about how weird the times are. It's weird right now. Life is just hard. The world around us is just difficult. It already is just difficult being a human in this era. But then we factor in family pressure, career pressure, financial struggles, the economy is insane. Now you're going through menopause. That's a biological stressor of sorts. So safety is number one. Number two factor in fat loss is, I'm going to call it well-functioning metabolic machinery. Now that's just a cute way of describing the fat-utilizing elements of your body. There's a hormone called insulin that brings fuel where it needs to go. Insulin's job is to kind of shuttle fuel around, and it either puts it into the cells to get utilized or puts it into storage. And then once it's in storage, insulin and other metabolic machines are going to move it out of storage and utilize it in the cells. So this machinery of metabolism has to be functioning well. And really the master hormone there is insulin. Now, I'm not going to talk a lot about insulin today. It's interesting because the hormone cortisol came up in the chat. That's a crucial metabolic hormone as well, actually, one that I really geek out on. Insulin and cortisol have an interesting relationship with each other. I would love to get into it with you, but I just can't today. I'm going to focus on simply one really important aspect today, and your head's going to explode when you see what it is. Number three, and this is the one we're going to zero in on mostly in this workshop. Are you ready for it? Oh my gosh, you're going to cry. Energy deficit. We do need that. Here's the deal. I did put this in what I consider to be order of importance. So we have to say, okay, it's safe to liberate the fuel from storage. We've got the machinery to liberate fuel from storage. Now we have the incentive to liberate fuel from storage. Does that make sense? So we have to create the environment where we can even do this. We have to create the biochemistry to get it done. Then we have to create sort of the input to incentivize the whole process. Does that make sense? We're going to really zero in on energy deficits today. I'm sorry. Now, what's not a factor? So let's just be real. I don't think menopause is a factor. And I say this as a woman going through menopause. I don't think it's a factor. Aging is not a factor. There are adjacent factors, and I might do a bonus teach on this. I'm contemplating doing a bonus teach on, well, what happens when we go through menopause? What happens when we age, and what metabolic impacts do they have? Metabolically, you don't change. But for example, just as an example, some of you mentioned in the chat that lean body mass, muscle, really important metabolically. Well, as we age, as I mentioned earlier, we tend to lose lean body mass unless we're working really hard to preserve it by eating enough protein and strength training. We are losing lean body mass. That's a metabolically active tissue. When you have less lean body mass, it's just easier to put fat on. It feels like your metabolism slowed down, but really the root cause of that was loss of lean body mass, which is preventable. So the research does not support slowing down of metabolism as you age. This is good news. Your metabolism does not slow down until maybe your late 60s or early 70s, and then it slows down by like a fraction, something like 150 or 200 calories a day. Nothing. It doesn't make sense for metabolism to slow down. It really doesn't. We have to remain alive and fueled and nourished right up until the day we are unalive. So it doesn't make any sense for the body to just stop being able to use fuel just gradually over time. But some body changes can make it seem like that. What's also not a factor, I'm just going to put this out there. I don't think cortisol is a factor. I just don't want you to hate cortisol. It's a perfectly fine hormone. It's not the reason. Hydration is not the factor. You're probably drinking enough water. It's not going to help you lose weight. It's fine. You can do it if you can drink more if you want, but it's not a weight loss tool. And honestly, I'm going to just put this generally too. Exercise, like structured exercise, is not a huge factor in fat loss, apart from strength training encourages lean body mass preservation, which is good, just to maintain status quo of your metabolic function. And also strength training, the big muscles of your body, encourages a little bit more insulin sensitivity, which is a good thing. So there's a slight little metabolic bump with strength training, but not with cardio classes, spin classes, high intensity classes. They're fun though, totally fun. I love that for you. Like, I'm not telling you to stop doing it. I think you've probably heard that on your Instagram too, that you need to stop doing Orange Theory or F45 or, whatever high intensity thing you love, your spin class. I don't think you need to stop doing it. Let's just put it in its right category, which is soul food, fun. I love this. It makes me feel good. It's not helping you lose fat. So we're going to talk about energy deficits today, gang. Hi, does that sound like fun? We have to. We must. We simply must. So I call this energy deficit two ways. Number one, strenuous and strict. Really common way of doing a calorie deficit is to go strenuous and strict with it. It doesn't sound nice, does it? But let's say, for example, you go get yourself a macro coach, and the macro coach says let's say you want to lose 30 pounds. Well, there's some math to that. How many calories is in a pound? Who knows that number off the top of their head? 3,500, you got it. So if you got 30 pounds to lose, that's 105,000 calories you have to get rid of in your life. So let's say you want to lose that 30 pounds in what? What do you think? 6 months. Gorgeous. Yes, friends. 6, 12, nice. Okay, let's just say 6. Let's just say 6 for funsies, because we're going with a strenuous and strict. So I've got 105,000 calories I need to delete from my life. And I'm going to do that over 6 months, which we'll call each month 30 days. So I need to come in at a 583 calorie a day deficit. That's insane. Okay, let's extrapolate this to 12 months. Let's just be a little less insane, because eating 583 calories less a day, how do you think that would feel? Could you do that? How would you do that? Well, we'll talk about that in a second. But let's do this math a different way. So if you have 105,000 calories you got to liberate, 12 months would be a deficit of 300 calories a day, 291. Which one of these do you want to pull? Should we pull the 6-month thread or the 12-month thread? We're going to go with one of these. Maybe the 12-month one sounds. Some people want to go faster, right? Imagine if you wanted to lose 30 pounds by Labor Day, June, July, August, 3 months. Phew, that'd be hard. You'd be hungry, Tanya says. You'd be really hungry. So how long do you think you can be hungry? Could you be hungry for 12 months, 6 months? Could you just persist with hunger and white knuckle it through willpower for that long? Just being really hungry? Do you think you'd be successful with that? Because there's a lot of wisdom in that. And saying, boy, I'd be hungry. Because you're not going to out willpower your hunger signal, ever. That's crucial. How can we create a calorie deficit that doesn't leave us feeling hungry, an unmanageable hungriness? At least I've tried it and failed. Who else has tried it and failed? What happens when you fail? Because the failure is really interesting. You eat this much and more. Oh yeah, Lauren, the week before your cycle. Now you're a woman, you've got undulating hunger based on your nutrient needs at different points in the month. Oh, no, but your macro coach says you got to stay in your 291 calorie a day deficit, madam. I don't care if you're in your luteal phase and your body's trying to grow a baby or thinks it is. You know what I mean? Like, that's insane. It's actually insane. So to me, what's insane about this is that, first of all, we believe any of this math, that somehow 30 pounds of fat, somehow that equals 105,000 calories, as though it's that simple. I just think this math is all made up. I think this whole math equation from jump is fake news. Who knows how many calories per day we need? How are we going to persist with a 291 calorie day, a 583 calorie day deficit when we're in our luteal phase and we want to eat everything because our body thinks we're going to have a baby every month of our lives that we're fertile? Insane. It doesn't make sense. So I just want to pause here, because when I say weight loss is possible without food tracking, what I really want to say is It's the only way to do it because the food tracking, the numbers we're adhering to are completely invented math. I just invented this number for you. So you know what? You could leave this workshop right now and say, aye, aye, Captain. I'm going to try to eat 291 calories a day less. Thanks for the lesson, nutritionist lady. You could go do that. And so what would you have to do? You'd have to, first of all, determine your calorie intake. So you have to determine your calorie intake now, which involves tracking your food. So for the, call it a week or so, you're going to have to track everything you eat, weigh it on the scale, log it into an app to figure out your starting point. Then you have to do the math. So let's say your starting point is, let's say you really are honest, you track for a week, you average it out, and maybe you're eating 1,800 calories a day. Sorry, 1,800 calories a day. Now we math it. We're going to subtract 291 because we're going to do this sensibly over 1 year. So that means every day you have to eat 1,509 calories per day for 12 months. Now, that's crazy. That's insane. You know what I would do? I would correct this math. Here's what I'm going to do to make this even more sensible. Here's what I'm going to do. 1,509 calories a day works out to 10,563 calories per week. This builds in a little bit of flexibility. And I actually think the human body doesn't operate on a daily schedule. I also don't think it operates on a weekly schedule. I think the time horizon of your nutrient needs is absolutely infinite. So even doing this math, even giving this consolation, where, okay, if you had 10,500 calories per week and you could kind of position it wherever you wanted, you'd still kind of be chipping away at this calorie deficit. I still think that's invented. And it still doesn't account for your luteal phase or the other part of your cycle where you're not hungry at all. And maybe you're going to eat 8,500 calories that week. Like we contain multitudes. We're dynamic, complex creatures. And this math is absolutely too rigid and absolutely fake. It's also strenuous and strict. And you have to track your food. You have to track it before. You have to track it during the 12 months during. And then what happens after? You have to now ramp your calories back up to some livable amount. We want permanent fat loss, right? Everybody wants permanent. Nobody wants temporary fat loss. We've had enough of that. We've done that. We all want permanent. So if you use this model, so you went down to 1,509 calories a day for 12 months of your life and you just white knuckled it for a year at 1,500 calories. And by the way, it wouldn't even be that cut and dried. I'm not going to get into the weeds in this, but if you dropped to 1,500 calories, your metabolism would downregulate. You'd have to drop it lower. If you really wanted to keep fat loss going and lower, you'd have to have diet breaks. A diet break involves you just abandon your calorie counting. You start eating again. You gain a bit of weight back. You re-upregulate your metabolism. Then you start dieting again and diet break. And it's insane. Then after you're done dieting, you've achieved your weight loss. You have to now reverse diet. Have you heard of reverse dieting? That's where you continue to do math for another 2 years to get you from 1,500 and under, whatever low number you got to, back up to a normal human range of calories. You've just exhausted yourself for 3 years of tracking to have a hope in heck of losing 30 pounds. And it was misery the whole time. And provided you don't quit, it might work. But what's the likelihood that you would quit doing this? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being I'm out, 1 being, oh, I could easily do this. Where are you? How easy is this to quit? How quittable is this? It's 10 out of 10 quittable. And do you think that's some moral failing? Do you think that's some defect of your character? Why do you think you would quit this? Tell me why you would quit this. Oh my gosh, the ridiculous vicious cycle of bulk and cut. Yeah, don't get me started on that. That's the thing. And I just want you to tell me, why do you think you can't do this? I keep answering that question, but I want to pull this thread here too. Sometimes on Instagram, you're going to follow a personal trainer who's like, calorie deficit. I call them the eye roll calorie deficit bros because they just roll their eyes and say calorie deficit and somehow they get 1 million followers. I don't know how that works. I would love to know their secret. But these folks will go through a fat loss phase and they'll say, watch, I'm going to show you that a calorie deficit is all it takes to lose fat. And they'll eat like Twinkies and milkshakes and they'll do all kinds of stupid stuff and eat actual bowls of sugar and get their calorie deficit and they'll lose fat and say, see, I did it. And then they gain it all back. They gain it all back. They don't tell you that part. Because then a year from now, they're going to do their next stunt where they cut again. It's like, we don't want to be in this cut bulk cycle. We want to get it off forever. I want to see these answers. Here's why we would quit. We're all 10 out of 10 quitting because of real life, because I don't want to be miserable. I have done it, but when I stop, I easily fall into older ways and end up where I was again. This is crucial. And your older ways are more comfortable. Like that's just old familiar comfort. Tiresome, too much work. It would be exhausting. It's time consuming. Yes. Do you have time for this? Do you have the mental energy for this? I'm sorry. You're a badass midlife woman. You don't have time for this. This is for 27-year-old male personal trainers. Like that's not us. It's insane. It's mentally draining. It makes me insane about food. Yeah. Now food has just become this math. And I see this too. It's like I concocted this weird ass looking meal that's like the protein pancake and there's some cottage cheese and then there's like a shake and then there's this other weird thing and it has 375 calories, hit my macros. And I'm like, that looks disgusting. Who would want to eat that? You're going to eat that? It's crazy to me. Don't need one more thing to worry about. This is great. Pam. Pam said, I don't want my kids to see me always weighing out and tracking my food. Okay. And Lauren said, yes, Pam, I have 4 girls. I have no children. I don't have any right to comment on this, but since the gals here did, those of you who are moms of daughters, I know you know this already. Like, what are we showing them? I think about this from the future generation. Even any young woman I adjacently bump into in my life, my nieces, friends, family, I don't want the future generation to feel the way we feel. That's all. That's all. We agree. Okay. So this is the strenuous and strict calorie deficit. We don't like it. We're not into it. Let's try something different. Mild and flexible. This already sounds better, doesn't it? Let's say you, without tracking any food, you accidentally consume between 50 to 200 calories per day less. That's it. That's the bullet point. So accidentally consume between 500 and 200 calories. Can you read that? You can't read that. I'm going to write this better. I can do this better. Accidentally consume. I'm going to write it even more grammatically better. 50 to 200 fewer calories per day, but not every day. Why not every day? Because some days you're going to be in your luteal phase. Some days you're going to be recovering from a hard strength training session. You're going to go for a long, strenuous hike and your body's going to need more nourishment. Or you're going to be out at a dinner party and you don't want to seem like some weirdo on a diet who's ordering their salad with the dressing on the side. So not every day. So this is vague math. The thing about the mild and flexible is that it's vague math and there's a little bit of blind trust in it. So if every day you accidentally consume 50 to 200 fewer calories, but not every day. So let's say we do this 4 days of the week and we average out, the average between 50 and 200, 150 calories fewer equals 600 calories per week fewer, but not every week. Okay? Because you're going to go on vacation. Okay, so maybe it's 3 weeks out of the month. So stay with me on the math. We get 600 calories per week for 3 weeks of the month, 1,800 calories a month deficit. Now, our math was 105,000 calories theoretically we're trying to lose. If we had an 1,800 calorie per month deficit, you ready for this math? That's 4.8 years to lose 30 pounds. I'm being real with you. Did I just lose you? I might have. This is good though, because 4.8 years to lose 30 pounds without tracking. It's just you're accidentally consuming 50 to 200 fewer calories per day. You're living your life. You're going on vacation. You're having outings. You're taking a pretty chill approach to it. It takes 4.8 years to lose that 30 pounds. It's a long time. Out of curiosity, how much weight has everybody lost in the last 4.8 years? Type that in the chat. How much weight have you permanently lost in the last 4.8 years? Yeah, it's not great, right? So, and I don't say that to make you feel bad. It's just, this is what I see literally every day when I talk to women on the phone. They'll say the exact same thing that I know you're feeling, which is, oh, that's way too slow. And I'll say, but according to my notes, you've been going up a pant size every 2 years since you turned 40 or 35. Like it's not going to resolve itself. So we do have 2 paths. Literally, crew, you have 2 paths. Strenuous and strict will get you there faster. Actually, not really, because this was still 3 years. Let's not forget. That was still 3 years with all the reverse dieting. Is 3 years better than 4.8? Yeah. Does that seem better? To be strict and strenuous for 3 years or mild and imperceptible for 4.8 years? I mean, it's not that big of a difference. The time is going to pass anyway. And I just want to go back to the fact that most women are gaining weight. So there's a whole stoppage of weight gain that has to happen before your body even, well, and I keep saying weight, but I mean fat, before the body will lose fat. Think about it. It's going to take you a long time to lose 30 pounds, no matter how you do it. Here's how we're going to do this, gang. I've got 3 S's for you, and I'm going to give you a takeaway, okay? Number 1 is satiety. This is one of the keys to this. And because I'm pulling this S sort of alliteration thread, I really want you to stop snacking. There's a research paper that I have. I should pull it up for you. I don't have it in this presentation. I used it in a presentation a couple years ago. The researchers, took a ginormous control group and let them sort of eat ad lib item. They could eat whatever they wanted, but what they did was they tracked how much of their calories came from just snacky poos, little handfuls of things, rifling through the pantry, having a little bag of something, or popping a spoonful of nut butter in your mouth. Like they tracked it. It was something like it was 11% on average of their daily calories came from totally random, mindless snacking. 11%. So if you're going to go back and say you're eating 1,800 calories a day, 11% of that is 198 calories. Boom. There's your 200 calorie deficit just by eliminating snacky poos, by being satiated by your meals. If you're satiated by your meals, you're not going to go into the pantry between Zoom calls or walk past the office break room or rifle through the kids, whatever candy's left over from Easter or whatever left over from. The chance of you doing that goes down greatly, and it can save you, 11% of calories, which could, this math is just whatever. This is just numbers for the purpose of visualization, but there you go. Earlier when I said a slow and imperceptible fat loss, I said, what if you did 50 to 200 fewer calories a day? You would lose this 30 pounds of fat faster than this 4.8 years that I did. And the idea is all we're doing is satiating hunger at mealtime so we don't have any snack urges that take us into these handfuls. And I have a certain opinion on snacking generally. The thing with the snacky poos, which is the sort of colloquial, jokey name I give to the handfuls of things we have, is that they don't satiate you at all. They just go in your mouth and you chew them and they're gone. There's no actual appetite suppression. It's like, I feel a little snacky. I want a little something crunchy. You eat it. It's crunchy. It's snacky, but it didn't do anything. It didn't give you any nourishment. It didn't offer any satiety. It might have just made you hungrier, quite honestly. You're still going to have your full meals because those snacks didn't lend any satiety to you at all. So you're still hungry. You still have to sit down and eat meals because that's how humans are meant to eat, is we're meal eaters, not really grazers. Eliminating snacking is really the opportunity here. And I want to teach you about satiety. All right. Lisa's a snacking addict and I mindlessly do it. I want to relinquish you of that title. Anybody who self-identifies as a mindless eater, emotional eater, stress eater, I don't think you're defective. I think you're hungry. You're hungry. Why do we eat? Because we're hungry. The signals couldn't be simpler. A hunger, a wanting for food, like I just want something is hunger. What if you weren't hungry? I don't know if you even know what it feels like to not be hungry. I really don't know that women know what that feels like. And I'll tell you that I have some clients in my program who, once they start working through my protocol, they'll say, whoa, this is actually strange to feel this fed. I can't remember the last time I felt fed. I've had clients cry because they finally felt fed. And I don't want to make any assumptions about anybody here in this workshop, but if you're snacking mindlessly, it's not mindless. It's very deliberate. Your body's like, yo, we're hungry. Go get something. And you are. What if you're a snacker grazer, not a 3 meals a day person? I'm going to tell you something. You are a meal-eating animal. Humans are meal-eating animals. We're not grazing animals. That's just biologically true of a human. We practice grazing, and then we get into the habit of grazing, but our biology is actually wired for meals and not snacks. So I think this would be interesting, Tanya, for you to try this because it could break you out of the snacking paradigm. I think the snacking paradigm is metabolically problematic for humans. Like meal, snack, meal, snack, meal, snack, meal, snack. It's weird. With the hormone insulin responds weirdly to that. And for whatever it's worth, when I became very fat 15 years ago, I was snacking on healthy food all day long. I was eating like 7 meals a day of healthy food, carrots and hummus and pitas and sandwiches and, soup and just little stupid snacky meals all day. And it totally obliterated my metabolic health to the point where I became pre-diabetic. Lots of factors at play there, but we are meal eating animals. Here's a typical day of eating for a woman. And this is based on my empirical data of having spoken to thousands of women on the phone and asked them what their day of eating is. Meal one is almost always some kind of yogurt, cottage cheese. It's always in the dairy family. It could be a smoothie, shake. Maybe we get an avo toast in there if we're lucky, something like that. Snack one might be yogurt again, might be a shake again, might be some fruit. Meal two is universally salad with chicken. Am I right? I would bet money on that. Snack two, handful of almonds, maybe some fruit. Now, a little break in the action here. This is during the structured part of your day. You're at work or you've got your routine and you're following your diet because in the early part of the day, you're not decision fatigued out. You haven't willpower fatigued yourself. You're following your diet. This is all looking very healthy and demure, very lady-like way of eating. Yogurt, dairy smoothies, yogurts, fruit, chicken with, on a salad. This is a ladylike way of eating. And then the wheels fall off. And then it's like after work, or actually afternoon, crash, snacks, home from work, snacks. Then we have the family dinner, which I love. I don't care what that is. That could be whatever it is. Family dinners are beautiful. They're like the most beautiful meals that women eat, honestly. When I do this day of eating exercise with women and they say, well, for breakfast, I have a smoothie. For lunch, I have a salad with chicken. Then for dinner, we have, meat, vegetables, starch. I'm like, oh my God, your first meal of the day. Congratulations. That's amazing. It's always dinner. It's the family dinner. Isn't that interesting? We sit down to a proper meal when everybody's there. Oh, the husband and the kids all need to eat, so I'm going to have a proper meal. Left to their own devices, women would just snack on little, absolutely meager nibbles of food like this all day long. After dinner, snack. Now, let's just take a moment to highlight the snacks. I do think, like, these snacks here, these ones during the workday, totally nice, healthy, nothing wrong with, yogurt, nothing wrong with almonds. But it's all this here. This becomes the opportunity. Why are we consuming so much food in the evening? Because we're hungry. We didn't eat enough. So now we're packaging all of our nutrient needs and we think we're mindlessly eating or boredom eating. Or after the kids go to bed, I always self-soothe. I like to scroll and nibble, or it's my me time. All these things we say, and it's just, man, you're just hungry. It started right around 2 p.m. when you hit that natural lull in your circadian rhythm and decided you needed a snack to perk yourself up because you're hungry. If you weren't hungry, if you got to this sort of delineating line, fully fed, none of this would happen. And you think that doesn't add up to 200 calories a day? Honestly, your little crash snack, your after work snack, and your after dinner snack, you don't think that's 200 calories? You don't have to track it, but like just knowing that we've all tracked calories our whole life, yeah, there's your 200 calories. There it is. I want to see what you're saying in the chat. I'm a grazer and bonbons when COVID hit and we holed up at home. Ate for the sake of eating became a horrible habit. Yeah, that's interesting, eh? We suddenly had access to our pantries full time. I will tell you, like, this is just anecdote, but I work from home and I have for like a decade. And if you're well fed, the pantry doesn't call to you as much. I work at home all the time. I'm constantly surrounded by my own food, but it doesn't call to me. So there's a lot of, I just want you all to know, anything that you think is a defect, I think is simply hunger. I really do. We have to solve this snacking problem. And the problem with snacking that I have is that, like I said earlier, whatever these little snacks end up being, they're not nourishing you. Your hunger signal comes when the body says, hey, we need some nutrients. That's what the hunger signal is. You know that. That makes sense, right? Body cues up hunger to say, we've been doing the math and we need a little bit of nutrition. And nutrition could be fuel, it could be amino acids, it could be hydration, minerals, fiber, vitamins, all the good nutrition that's in food. And if you deliver nourishment, the body will do the math and say, okay, thank you. Good job. We'll leave you alone for a while because you're a meal eating animal. You're supposed to go for meals and then go long periods of time before you need to eat again. But if you just deliver a little snack that has no nutrient value, it has calories. Snacks have calories, but they have no nutrient value, which makes them low satiety, high calorie. That's not the plan. That's not the path forward. Low satiety, high calorie, even a low calorie, 100 calorie snack pack of popcorn, right? Zero satiety to that. So it's just 100 calories for nothing. You didn't give your body any nourishment. It just probably made you feel hungrier and snackier again. And I don't really care about calories, but we got to do this vague math so we can see where we're kind of slipping up here. You guys are with me on this, right? Like this way of eating looks pretty familiar. And if I cared about calories, which I don't, these are all demure little tiny meals. So before you get to this sort of terrible moment in time, it's like 1,200 calories already. And then if you came home and you had a nice meal and went to bed, you would have, been in that sort of range of whatever weight loss calories. But no, we had another 200 calories, maybe another 50 calories before dinner, maybe another 150 after dinner, plus dinner, which was, a nice meal with the family. Maybe you actually have a real proper meal and it's 500 calories. So, now these numbers have just kind of blown you over your imperceptible deficit that we're trying to create. If those didn't exist, if you just weren't hungry for them, you would have arrived at the end of the day with the imperceptible caloric deficit. You wouldn't have to count it. It would just be happening. So here's what I think you should try instead. Imagine this. I'm going to just blow your mind. Meal 1, and we're not tracking this, okay? But think about the last slide I showed you. Your first meal was like 300. Let's say we combine these 3 into one meal. So I'm just going to go hog wild with this. Let's say your meal 1 was 900 calories. Can you imagine? Could you imagine eating 900 calories? Like, I know we all know what that looks like. And I don't track my food, but I occasionally do just for fun. Maybe you saw this on Instagram. I had a 1,000-calorie breakfast last week. Did you guys see that? It was half a chicken, 2 kiwis, and some cherry tomatoes. And that was 1,000 calories. And I didn't eat it all. So I probably ate 900 calories of it at breakfast. That's an insane meal, right? 900 calories at breakfast. Then you don't eat for, 5 to 6 hours. No snacks, no nibbles, no mindless eating. You're just fed. Meal 2, salad with chicken. Let's go. Let's have our salad with chicken. And that's, like a casual little $4.50. And then meal 3 with the family dinner. You're going to sit down with the family. You're not going to be that hungry because this is also going to sustain you for a long time. But I do want you to sit down and eat with your family. Maybe you have 300-ish calories of whatever's the family meal. So we came to 1650 on the daily cals there. It started off a little dodgy. You're like, oh, how am I supposed to lose weight with a 900-calorie breakfast? But then it tapered to a beautiful little dull roar in the afternoon and evening. And you didn't have any snack in the evening, which is a weird time for your body to be taking in a lot of snack foods. It could be 2 meals, it could be 4 meals. I really don't care. But if you eat meals to satiety, we eliminate all the snacking that happens in between meals, and that saves you about 200, if not more, calories a day without having to track it. All you have to do, wait a second, I'm going to stop my screen share because I got to talk to you, mano a mano. All you have to do is eat meals to satiety. Okay, this is actually your number one homework assignment. I want you to eat meals to satiety. So tomorrow, think about your day tomorrow. What have you got going on? You don't have to tell me, just think about it. What could you make for breakfast tomorrow that somewhat replicates that insane breakfast I showed you? Just as a reminder, I had half a chicken, 2 kiwis, and tomatoes. By the way, carbs. Oh my God. Kiwis and tomatoes, carbs. Don't care. The body needs carbohydrate, it needs fat, it needs protein, it needs it all. We're not going to worry about the composition of the meals. I want you to tap into the feeling of satiety. And here's what this feels like. You're going to put together a plate of food that looks embarrassing, unladylike. You're not going to like the way it looks. You're going to feel very nervous. Then I want you to start eating it. And ideally, it's proper food. I really do hope it's not a yogurt bowl. And you know what? You can do what you want, but yogurt is going to be a very hard thing to hit satiety with. You'd have to eat a lot of yogurt, and I worry about just having that much dairy that early in the day. But I want you to put together a meal of food that you don't think you can possibly finish, and then start eating it. And don't stop until that meal has told you to put the fork down. So you might put together like the plate of food I made. I didn't eat it all. I didn't finish all the chicken, and I didn't finish all the tomatoes or the kiwi. I had a little bit of everything left over, but I got to my natural satiety point. I sent that signal. Remember the signal? Satiety is a signal back into your body that says, oh my gosh, abundance. We finally have abundant nourishment here. That's safety. Remember that one of the 3 factors was safety, insulin function, which we're not going to talk about in this workshop, and the energy deficit. So getting to the satiety signal at meal times eliminates snacking. And that saves you about 200 calories a day without having to track them. You don't have to count. I don't want you to count them. I'd never want you to count your food again. The fact that I'm saying the word calorie so much in this workshop is making my skin crawl, quite frankly. But we have to illustrate it. Lisa says, I like my coffee in the morning and don't eat breakfast till I get to work. Awesome. Totally fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. All the meals you have tomorrow, every meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, I don't care how many meals you have. I don't care if you have 2 or 3 or 1. I want you to eat to a satiety point where you put the fork down. The signal that sends back into your body is so safe. We're checking off the first stop on the fat loss continuum. But what I want you to feel is how this mindless snacking just vanishes instantly. And with it goes 200 unaccounted for calories that you didn't have to count or willpower. It might work, Christina says. It might. It really might. It's worth a try. The stakes couldn't be lower. Really, what could possibly go wrong? Think about that. I have 2 more S's I just want to teach you really quickly. It's going to help lend some clarity to how we're going to do this. So the second S is sustenance. I'm quite frankly tired of women getting all their protein from cottage cheese and core power protein shakes. Like, can we just eat food? Can we just eat food? Proteinified food. Shakes, bars, yogurt bowls, smoothies, protein powder and anything, protein bagels, protein ice cream. You already know you need more protein. Why are we getting our protein from this stuff? This is insane. This is just a weird ass way of eating. This all comes down to the idea of supplementing protein. Protein supplements exist for bodybuilder dudes who are trying to eat hundreds of extra grams of protein per day so they can build giant muscles. That's why protein powder exists. Now we have protein powder in bagels, in tortilla chips, in ice cream. We're using a supplement to get our protein. We're not even eating protein. I got to tell you, I'm a nutritionist, so I care about nutrient density. This isn't nutrient dense. It's got protein in it. But this is once again just math that you're following, blindly following math. Well, so-and-so said I'm supposed to eat 127.9 grams of protein per day. So I'm just going to eat protein pancakes. There's another one. Protein pancakes. I'm just going to eat protein pancakes so I can get to my 127 grams. You could get there with chicken and fish and meat and, maybe beans or tofu if you're not doing animal protein, pork, eggs, some dairy. Have some dairy. There's protein in dairy, but there's all these little weird concoctions. This is such a female way of eating, which is crazy because Protein supplements were intended for bodybuilder dudes to supplement their protein because they couldn't physically eat enough eggs to build the ginormous muscles they had. So they had to make chocolate protein shakes so it would taste yummy so they could get the extra protein down. And this is where most women are getting their protein from. I'm just not okay with it. It's not sustenance. It's proteinified foods. Protein foods, meat, that could be beef, that could be pork, it could be, I don't know, lamb, game, poultry, that's chicken of any kind you choose, turkey, whatever other birds we would eat, fish, any kind of fish you like, shellfish, eggs. Knock yourself out, but you're going to get sick of those if you eat this for breakfast every day. You're going to get sick of eggs. That's why I had chicken for breakfast, because you get sick of eggs. Dairy is a good source of protein, but not the only source. And I don't think you should be getting all your protein from dairy. I just don't think that's a great way to do it. I do want you to have variety in your diet. That's important. The plant-based ones we could mention would be things like beans and any tofu. I'm not a huge fan of these. I don't have a lot to say about them, but if you're trying to eat less meat for any reason, you do you. That's another option too. But this is food. This is protein food. Why can't we eat this? Is it because it takes too long? It doesn't. None of these things takes long. It takes 4 minutes to scramble eggs. It takes 10 minutes to grill a steak. I can roast a chicken in 90 minutes, but I ignore it the whole time. So basically I put it in the oven, get on Zoom for 90 minutes, and when I'm done Zoom, I go and eat chicken. This stuff is not any slower or less convenient than a shake. And I will just tell you as a personal note, I don't like the idea of women shortchanging themselves on nutrient density because they're busy. Like, I just don't love that for us. We have to feed ourselves. We can't say, oh, I'm too busy to eat food. I have to have a smoothie. The solution to that is to figure out how to get 10 minutes extra in your day to feed yourself so you can achieve satiety and send a safe signal to your body. This is metabolically crucial. We don't achieve fat loss. We don't achieve preserving lean body mass. We don't achieve resilient aging. We don't fit back into our clothes if we're not prioritizing our own feeding. We have to start doing this. So whenever anybody asks me, well, what's a quick and easy option? I'm like, the quick and easy option is for you to find more time in your day so you don't have to find quick and easy options. Of course, we occasionally have to forage, but that should be the exception, not the rule. I need you to prioritize feeding yourself. Nothing will work if you don't. Nothing will work if you don't. And that includes Ozempic, baby. If you're not eating proper food on Ozempic, you're in a world of hurt. If you're not eating proper food in your calorie deficit, I guess you can get away with it, but it's going to be pretty miserable. I want you to eat real food because then you get the satiety power. We're going for satiety. In order to get satiety, we need sustenance, the second S. The third piece, which I've talked about a few times, is safety. So after everything I've told you, I want you to type into the chat, what is your fear of doing this? What is your fear of either doing this or staying stuck where you are or anything? What is the fear you have around all this conversation around fat loss? Let's just name them. Failure. Amazing. Fail again. Who feels that one? That's a really common one that I hear. Won't work. Not sticking to it. Yep. Failure. It doesn't change how I feel about myself. That's an important one, right? Imagine going through the rigmarole of losing a bunch of fat, no matter how you do it, and you still don't like the way you look in a swimsuit. That's deep, right? I have a lot of thoughts on that. Not working. I'll still hit myself in pictures. Not sticking to it. So yeah, failing again, quitting is kind of in there, I would say. And I don't use the word quitting to belittle anybody. That's what ends up happening. And I think we quit things that suck. So we have to try to find something that doesn't suck so we don't quit it. That's a hunch that I really lean in on. Eating big meals and still grabbing that mindless snack. Okay, yes, that's interesting. So the fear is big meals plus snacks equals yikes. That's a good one. I have a strong hunch. I've based my entire practice on this, that won't happen if you do it right. I think you should try. Gaining weight, okay. The thing is, a lot of this comes down to this sign that hangs over my shoulder, which I'm sure you can't see because it's tiny. You'll see it later when I unshare my screen, but it says, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And the fact is, with all the love in the world, you all, women, have been failing, have been quitting, have been gaining weight, have been feeling uncomfortable in their skin and unconfident in swimsuits and hating looking at themselves in pictures. You have been doing that. So why wouldn't something completely different potentially change that? Staying doing what you're doing will probably just prolong that. Is that these things don't resolve themselves. We kind of have to throw something different into it. My hunch is eating sustaining sustenance in foods to satiety and sending safety into your body is the one thing you have never tried. Because I know you. I am you. I know how we ate. I know how we exercised. I know we cardioed and saladed. I know we used to ask for the dressing on the side and we would dip the tines of our fork in the dressing and then stab the lettuce. I used to make a salad that, here are the ingredients. You ready? Iceberg lettuce, white vinegar, end of recipe. That was a meal. What? You know how men have no problem losing and maintaining, like they can lose weight if they want to? And it's like such a pain in the ass because he hasn't been undernourishing himself. He eats to satiety, whatever he wants. Men do that. They don't feel any judgment about that. They just eat. So do your toddler. So does your dog. Every living creature on planet Earth, except human women, eat sustenance to satiety when they feel hungry without shame or guilt. It's just us. It's just us. What is up with that? Why are we going to continue to do that? What is the pain? What is the pain you're feeling right now that brought you to this workshop? Why on earth did you sign up for this? I asked you that earlier, but what is the pain? What are you trying to get unstuck from? What are you expending mental energy on? This is a hard question to answer. It can feel very vulnerable. You don't have to type it in the chat if you don't want to. I wouldn't mind if you did, but you don't have to if you want to just keep it secretly. But whenever I talk to women, I always hear pain. I hear them say things like, well, I've been eating different meals than the rest of my family. You know, I don't eat the carbs. They can have the carbs, but I just have my meal without the carbs. And it's like the pain of that, of you being some weird outcast in your own family. Or it feels like my body's failing me. You know, my mom was overweight and I am probably genetically predisposed to this as well. And, you know, it just doesn't feel fair. My sister's not fat. It's no fair. Like the pain, the way it feels, the way it weighs on your heart. I hate how I look. I don't get in the pool with my daughter. This is what I'm talking about. Pain. I don't get in the pool. I don't go on the boat. I didn't go on the last girls' beach trip. Opting out of life. The constant diet culture is telling me something different. Okay, that's a major pain. So let's talk about opting out of life. And this is, by the way, is unhealthy. I'm going to put that word there. There's emerging research on the health benefits of our social connections and lived experiences, and we're opting out of them because we don't feel attractive enough. That's unhealthy, straight up. The pain is the overwhelm. Overwhelm is so painful. And, you know, I feel perpetually low-grade guilt that I am part of the stream of narrative that you hear when you open your phone. Every day that bothers me. I try my best to keep this like really sensible and counterculture in a certain way, but doing every diet out there and feeling the only way to lose weight is to fast endlessly, then have a meal, then go back to fasting to keep it going. I mean, some people do that, Nikki. Like, it doesn't sound like you like it though. So that pain of restriction of all different kinds, restriction of calories, carbs, you're restricting your feeding window, feeling like you have to, you know, go into long fast. Some people fast comfortably for a long period of time. I think that's cool, whatever. I'm kind of agnostic about fasting. But the pain of restriction, I don't feel like myself. Lost. I feel like loss of self. Seeing myself in pictures compared to past, so like comparison is major. Oh, this is a hard one too, because like you probably see that on your social feeds too. Like, I'm 53 and I have abs. And you're like, oh my God. Never mind that person's whole job is to go to the gym and post it on Instagram and show her abs to you. That comparison, like, why don't I have abs? Well, because you don't have that lifestyle. You can't do that. That's insane. Like, but that comparison is it's so hard. It's absolutely astonishing right now. And I don't have the solution for it, quite honestly. What I lean on, and I wonder if I can articulate this to you, is if we come home to the body, start trusting and leaning into understanding this, then we can actually kind of stop paying attention to what anybody else is telling us, because every answer you need is actually inside of you. It has always been. So once you start to trust in your body, you can stop looking outward to get any of your inspiration. There's a lot of pain. I've given you some homework and I want to wrap this up here. And all I want you to do for tomorrow is eat every meal to your natural satiety point. I don't care what the meal is made of. I would prefer if your protein sources were more robust. That would be amazing. I would love to see that. But quite honestly, the number one objective is tomorrow, eat all your meals till you can't take another bite. You're not going to gain weight tomorrow. You don't gain fat that quickly. Gaining fat takes a long time. By the way, I didn't mention this, but it takes a long time to lose fat. It also takes a long time to gain it. So if it feels like it just showed up out of nowhere, it didn't. Those metabolic wheels were turning for months and years. Fat is a slow moving fuel. So you're not going to gain fat tomorrow if you eat meals to satiety. Why not try it? Give me any reason why you're not going to do it. I want to know. Okay, you're in. Good. We got a lot of people who are in. Here's the deal. Here's how we're going to go from here on out. You're going to run this experiment tomorrow. I want you to feel everything. It's really crucial to feel everything and be very present in this experiment. So feel the physical feelings of satiety, good, bad, or indifferent. Some people don't like it at first. They think it feels weird because they're not used to it. Any emotions that come up for you, anything at all, I want you to share those feelings because your feelings are the things that are going to get in the way. Your feelings, your beliefs, the pain. So I introduced the concept of these conversations in this call, and I want you to keep thinking and feeling through them. Okay? My whole job is to make sure that you proceed with curious non-judgment and respect for your body and that you don't quit. Give me just 3 days, okay? Try it for 3 days. This was an amazing open conversation. I'm so grateful to you. Okay, so friends, you're free to go. You're going to eat to satiety at every meal. And I want you to tell me how it feels. Nothing's going to go wrong, but some interesting things might go right. Let's talk about it. And by the way, this is how we lose weight without food tracking. We just are less hungry. You got it? You got it. Okay. Have a good night, folks. See you soon.